Welcome, guys, to the second game of the Star Wars 2v2 World Championship. I am here. My name is Steven, and I am joined by a man who's actually on that screen there, Zach Bunn. So, Zach, thanks for coming in and doing some commentary here.
Of course, love to be here.
I guess it's pretty easy for you since we work in the same place. But
it's true.
Fair enough. It's you and Matt Kohls on the team, and you guys won the first game with a what can only really be considered a bit of a Hail Mary play, I feel like.
Well, the Tom and Scott put us in a position where we had to go for the Hail Mary. It was kind of win the game there or not, and somehow, miraculously almost, we did pull it off and won the first game, blowing up 4 objectives to their 1 objective, I believe.
Absolutely. So if you guys haven't seen that, be sure to tune into Game 1 of the Star Wars 2v2 World Championship so you can kind of catch up and see where we are. So what does that mean for your guys' game? You're on the light side. You've already won as the dark side. 4 total objectives destroyed. So what's going to have to happen here for you guys to take this match?
Basically, winning the first game as dark side, just like in 1v1, is super important because of the way the tiebreakers work. So even if we lose this game, the tiebreaker is going to come down to total objectives destroyed on both sides. And that gives Matt and I a huge advantage here because we are up 3 objectives. So for Tom and Scott to either force a game 3 or win this game, they're going to have to blow up at least 4 objectives and not let us blow up any. Or they basically have to blow up 3 more than us to tie.
3 more than you and win the game,
yeah.
Which should be pretty easy. If they're blowing up 3 more than you, I imagine they're going to win that game.
The interesting part, and this is what you'll see early, like first turn, Matt and I have to make a pretty tough decision. But what you'll see that really changes the strategy of the game, and it's what's interesting about the tiebreakers in these elimination rounds, is knowing that you, as light side, you can play a very different game, right? So normally it might be very advantageous to take the balance of the force early on if you're the light side. But in this case, it might not be because we're just buying them more time to blow up objectives.
So you just want to get this game over with as quickly as possible, even if you lose a couple of objectives in the process.
Even if we lose the game, as long as we can stay objectives ahead of them. And the tough part of that, too, is they're going to have to find ways to blow up objectives while not letting us blow up objectives. Because every objective we blow up cancels out one of theirs, basically.
Absolutely, yeah. And light side generally a little bit better suited for that objective destruction, even though the dark side has some really fantastic, tools for that, especially whenever you can borrow units. And we're talking about, things that add to objective damage and do nasty things. So I guess it's going to be what it sounds like is going to be very tough for Tom and Scott this game, and I imagine they know that, so they're going to have to be on it this time around.
And to me, they have a really fantastic start here. You see 2 Vader's Fist, Executor arrives. He's got a ton of resources. Matt and I are going to have to discard 2 cards at the start of our turn.
That affects both opponents. Yeah.
Both opponents. So both our reserve values are decreased by 2 at this point. It means we have to discard. Makes cards like Defense you have them for not as good. You see me flip, cross the Anduit, Evacuation Procedure, and draw their fire.
Man, you guys have a lot of smugglers going down here. And can we see what Matt's got over there?
I believe he has a...
There's some of those smugglers that I am not as familiar with. You guys are having to plunge the depths of the pods there to make it happen.
Yeah, it's really interesting, the cards that you see in this game.
And that's going to start at 1. Man, going down to 4 cards early is... Vader's Fist is massive in this 2v2 format.
It's a fantastic objective.
And I run it in my 1v1 stuff, so...
Even in 1v1, it's great. It gives them a target they really have to go after, even early. And you can kind of force their hand as far as getting to you.
And it's one of those very important at times Hoth objectives, which can turn off some of the light side stuff, and you can heal it with Battle of Hoth. So sometimes just pinging it for 1 isn't quite enough, and all of a sudden you find your reserve reduced yet again. So it's funny because you guys, you don't, I'm trying to think of how you're going to play this game. You're going to play it in the sense of really just sitting back and only taking objectives, I think, whenever they take one themselves, right? I mean, just sit back. Let them have the force. You just build your board up. Are you worried about things like aggression or more general kind of board wipes here that could potentially screw that plan over?
It's kind of weird.
Hey, Palpatine's turn 1.
We have Jabba, Palpatine, and Advisor over there.
Boy, bringing
so
the big
far.
guns out here, huh?
Yeah, the turn 1 Holocron into Palpatine for 3 is just so good.
Yeah, that seems really good. And Palpatine might actually have a pretty significant impact here on actually slowing you guys down so that they might be able to get 3 objectives without you getting any.
Yeah, he's actually really nice. And a lot of times you don't end up using him this way, but even for offense, he can get in there, get a couple damage, and focus down a unit. So he's kind of offense and defense at the same time. Either way you use him. He's you can't really ask for a better start here.
Maybe some resources, huh? Well, I guess the holocron kind of counts.
Yeah, he played his limited was a holocron. So,
did you just discard a swindled? Or Matt did, yeah.
He played a swindled. Yeah, he put that advisor over there back up into Scott's hand.
Classic, so you may as well if your reserve's going down.
Now, here's the decision, right? If you're the dark side, if you're Tom, if you're Scott, you guys they have to decide here whether they want to take balance.
Right.
It's a fine line to walk because if they end up blowing up, 5 objectives and get to 15 and then don't win because they didn't take balance on the first turn, you will kick yourself forever. At the same time, they really need time. So committing or not here is a huge decision. It's going to have a huge effect on the game.
I don't think they commit here. They're going ahead and doing it, but putting on the Ice Tromper that they can easily sack whenever they need to turn that balance off is not a bad choice here.
Well, the problem is, now that they have balance, Matt and I are never going to be forced to take balance.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So depending on what units we're able to get out, it's very possible that balance will be possible, but not wanted. So we'll see what happens.
But it is like you said, it's kind of a hard choice because you have to win the game. Period. I mean,
they have to win the game.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You as the dark side, the collective you, not you in particular.
Yeah.
But thinking as the dark side here, you have to win this game. And I mean, if you can't win the game without taking balance, which is not that easy to win when you don't have the balance and the game is twice as long and you have all this time to kill all these objectives. I don't know.
And the interesting part there, if they don't take balance, if they do give us balance the whole game, we're doing a damage at the start of every turn. So it's a tougher road for the dark side, certainly. Like it's harder to not have balance, not because of the timing involved, but just the damage. If they have balance the whole time as the dark side, it's not really affecting our board as light side. Like
Absolutely,
nothing's happening.
Yeah.
So very interesting. Just tiebreaker rules after the first game happens, and knowing how to really use the system can make a huge difference on who wins a game.
Yeah, well, there's always been a lot of talk regarding tournament formats and how, the format of the game and the way that tiebreakers work affect the power level of certain cards and affect the way a game is played. Not necessarily just as much, but certainly to some degree whenever you're talking about competitive play at this kind of a level, especially in a championship. And we're seeing that, I think, in spades here. This is not a game of Star Wars in the same way that you would see it in a pure format-free environment where the objective is simply to win. So for better or worse, I guess, ultimately.
It's true. It's tough because you have to have some way of breaking the tie.
Yeah.
And no matter what that is, whether it's the original system or what they're using now, there's almost always a way to play to it or not. And it's just part of a two-sided game like this.
Yeah, and you just have to know the rules here, and it's just kind of one of the things going into a competitive event that you have to be aware of.
Now look at that. So Rogue 3, Sleuth Scout, and the Operative.
Hey, I was gonna say I was playing extensively with Rogue 3 the other day. Got him out in 2 of my games, and we have not talked enough about that card.
It is bringing the heat.
The fact that it's 3 health is lunacy. It's crazy.
If you happen to get Wedge on him, it is just crazy.
I mean, I was looking at it, this is every time I get this guy out, it is a guaranteed 2 objective damage. No matter what that Stormtrooper wants to do, to strike me for 2, it doesn't matter. Even if they win the edge battle, I don't care whatsoever about the edge battle with this guy. You put some upgrade on him, you put an Astromech or something, it's like all of a sudden he's single-handedly destroying objectives.
Absolutely.
He's 4 objective damage with a single objective enhancement. So I think he's a card to watch. This is a huge card. I'd take him almost over Red 5.
If you get Wedge on him, when that happens, it's just so crazy because you attack, you get your first strike, which does a whole bunch of damage. You get your second strike either against the same objective or against a different objective. And, I mean, you're looking at, you could do 8 possible damage across 2 objectives with 1 unit.
Feels really good there. Sleuth on Vader's Fist.
Can't block with Palpatine, so he's going to block with the Ice Trumper. We'll see what happens.
Only one unit damage, kind of a bummer here. Heat of battle could turn the tide. But if nothing else, maybe preventing that objective damage by winning the edge battle could be a decent choice here. Anowit's going to really prevent any kind of meaningful disruption here, I feel like. Unless there's something crazy going on. Now, can Ice Tromper, he can remove somebody from he sacrificed himself to remove something from the combat, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's a character or not.
I always felt like it was a character, and that's what kind of held it back. But I bet we're going to find out.
So I don't think he can sacrifice to remove something, except for the operative at this point.
You know, after your Hail Mary Ice Tromper play, I think you'd be pretty familiar with this card.
I had never considered using it on my own unit until
there he goes.
Yeah, so it looks like we get another swindled into hand.
Okay, swindled by Matt.
Matt's got the objective out when an enemy unit leaves play, draws a card. So that's a awesome use of swindled there. Looks like they're going to force choke the operative.
Choke the operative, yeah.
Yeah, don't want too much damage coming through on this first turn.
And man, I feel like it's the light side. You guys can just play the light side game here. Like, I don't think, even if they're playing for objectives specifically, and you guys are just playing the normal light side game, I don't see any way where they get 3 up on you somehow. I think you blast away here.
Yeah, I mean, they're not running Imperial, so the forget the name of the card. 2 cost, do 1 damage to all the objectives.
Yeah.
Because that's not coming, or at least not expected to come. It is way easier. That's a card that can really jump you up in objectives real quick if you're not careful. But here, they have Palpatine, and what we don't want to do is attack, let them win the edge with Palpatine, get focused down, let him attack again on offense with Palpatine, and really lock all our units down. So we're having to make the tough decision here whether to keep going. I have 0 cards in hand and 1 edge card, or 2 cards in the common reserve. So it's really a matter of, do we attack into Palpatine or not? And I
hope you don't.
I hope we don't. Yeah, because he'll probably attack on offense and lock some things down, but at least we'll get a refresh phase after that.
Yeah, would just be a shame to have Rogue 3 locked down
for the game.
2 can easily go there, 1 on the Sleuth, and essentially the same thing is accomplished.
Yeah, I mean it's almost worth putting 3 on there.
Yeah,
you just bury it. They also have Jabba out, so they have a ton of tactics icons already on the board. We know they have an Advisor of the Emperor in Scott's hand, so they can lock us down if they really want to.
It certainly feels like this was the point of the deck that Scott and Tom were piloting here, the 2v2 synergy across these tactics icons. I feel like these guys placed a really strong value on that icon type coming into 2v2, and seeing Jabba and Palpatine on the board and what they can do here to lock things down is really significant.
But unfortunately, in this game, you need damage.
You do need damage.
So the tactics aren't going to do you much. I also just realized that Scott has Ghost of the Dark Side out, so they would have had balance no matter what.
Yep.
They had no choice but to take balance in this matter.
Yeah, that's kind of disappointing. So you guys go ahead and pass it over, not taking balance, of course.
Yep, pass on the balance. So now the dial's up to 3, and we're on our way to ending the game, hopefully.
I haven't run the numbers, but getting 3 objectives and not winning the game too soon because of it, because the objective damage is ticking up that dial, it's just sounding more and more like a near impossibility here for Scott and Tom.
The interesting part is the player who gets the objective in his victory pile is the player whose unit or ability or whatever destroyed the objective.
So they need to spread it around.
They could actually each destroy 2. And that only in total makes the dial go up 6.
Yeah.
And then a 5th objective would make it go up a total of 9, no matter who destroys the 5th one. So if they can divide the damage in a certain way, they could pretty easily get 5 objectives, which means they can allow us to blow up 2.
There it is. So Advisor comes out, as well as
the Gamorrean Guard.
The Gamorrean Guard. I haven't seen him in forever. Some of these scum cards I'm not going to be familiar with, just because we're not used to seeing them in 1v1. Although I think that should change soon. I think we were talking about that this morning, that it's time for scum to really make an appearance here.
I'm committed to at least exploring the territory, and I know we get the scum objective in Balance of the Force. Once some more cards start coming out, They just have a couple missing pieces, I think, and once that happens, in 2v2 they're already good. By the way,
Yeah, capture can be significant.
They are a thing in 2v2, regardless of balance of the force. Just because you can get resources from your teammate, you can get resources, and not have to run all the tools to win the game in one deck. They have some very interesting tools, especially when it comes to 2v2.
Spot removal certainly becoming a bigger deal whenever you have twice the targets. That could be juicy for you.
Absolutely.
I like it. I do like it. All right, so 3 damage on Vader's Fist, all the action that we've gotten so far. And
looks like Tom will be attacking with Palpatine.
And we're here to Tom. He dropped a Royal Guard, and now he's swinging in with Palpatine. He has 1 resource open.
I'm curious. They decided not to attack with Jabba. Maybe they're going to plan to use him on defense.
Rogue 3 is going to oppose, so you just want to pitch some cards to the edge battle here is what it looks to me like.
Pitch, and if you can win the edge battle, you prevent an objective damage and a tactics icon. So there's really no reason not to block. If you don't block, you're getting focused down anyway. He's not going to do unit damage. Really just no reason not to here.
Yeah, assuming you can win the edge battle. Because if you don't win the edge battle, now you're looking at an extra focus icon because you had to focus for nothing, basically.
Well,
just to swing.
If you lose the edge battle and they decide
that's true
to not focus you down, you're only going to have 1 on you, which means looks like Battle of Hoth and...
Yeah, you're a sad state of affairs here on the other side. Yeah, that's true. If they focus you down after winning initiative, then you can't then focus the strike.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Certainly nothing to lose there in that edge battle.
They are going to focus Rogue 3 down, by the way. He's just too good.
Yeah.
And the interesting part here, too, is you got to wonder about the Sleuth Scout, too. Just because, your big guys can't block him. Swindle's clearing out the way. It's a tough choice on who to go down here. And I've got Anduit out, so that's a concern, too.
I don't want that Sleuth to unfocus here. I'd say 1 and 2 there, yeah?
Man, I'll tell you what. I'm getting nervous. There's something more going on here. Maybe not. Yeah, there's 3 focus on Rogue 3. You just do it.
You just do it and get it over with, huh?
You just can't have him.
Assume the Royal Guard can handle the Sleuth here?
Yeah, I mean, if they only put 2 on him and you do draw into Wedge, you play Wedge on him, you unfocus him, and you get him this turn, no Palpatine to block. He's just not who you want to be dealing with here.
He's a bit of a mess there.
You have at this point 3 blockers for that Sleuth Scout. I'm surprised to see him use the Heat of Battle. If a swindle happens on that Royal Guard, they could still block with the Gamorrean and Heat of Battle into killing the Sleuth, but that is gone unless they have another one.
If there's another one, I'd hope they just try to maybe blow up that Sleuth when it comes in.
That's what you want.
That's pretty much the most effective way to deal with him is just a double Heat of Battle. I mean,
get him out of town.
That's the best thing I've ever used.
Yeah. Looks like they have 1 resource open between them. Matt and I are planning out our turn.
Yeah, Rogue 3 down here, and it's getting off to a fairly slow start. Not a bunch of theatrics or fireworks here, just some slogging around. And tied on objective damage so far, so Thomas got to really need to swing this number in their favor, start to blast some things out. Now, you don't even, there's not even an orbital bombardment to be worried about in this deck, right? No Imperials showing, at least.
I mean, unless something really crazy goes down that we're just not expecting, there's no real reason to think a bombardment's coming.
Some 2v2 deck building magic that wasn't considered maybe at the first.
I can see their deck being so locked down on the against the light side that the light side just can't destroy objectives.
Yeah.
They have so many tactics and protection here.
You just lock it all down. And I think it's one of those beautiful moments where they dominate on the light side, they get a bunch of objectives, and then they take it to their dark side and just lock the board down and win the game.
Yep.
I feel like that's certainly what the deck wants to do, and unfortunately the game has been flipped on its head here, and they're having to go on the offense, which I don't feel like the deck's designed to do, and probably shouldn't be. But the anomaly, I think that was that first game, it speaks loudly here.
Yeah, and it's really a matter of they had 4 objectives with 1 health left when they were light side. So, they spread their damage out, and that's the risk you run, even in 1v1, spreading your damage out among 3 objectives. is that dark side will be able to close it off, and you actually won't get any, or you only get one objective. But most of the time it works out, and you can easily just win the game after you get that much damage on the board.
And certainly, both Scott and Tom knowing how to get the job done, getting to the finals here of the first 2v2 World Championship. So
they are not half bad.
No,
if I do say so myself.
Not having that struggle earlier in the day, certainly.
Cloud City Operative.
There's the Operative there.
Yeah, I mean, even there, if they'd only put 2 focus on Rogue 3, now Rogue 3 is totally wide open.
Yeah. And that's going to leave that Sleuth wide open. Talk about, and we can't say it enough, but the synergy within the Smugglers, just objective pool, is a bit mind-blowing here, I feel like. It's so good. It gives you all the tools you need to make your Smugglers cards even better than they normally would be. Between Swindled and those Operatives, it's just every time I feel like you can get that Sleuth or that Blockade Runner shot when you need it. And cheers to that.
The yellow cards are good.
They are good. Advisor to the Emperor, what's going on there?
Looks like we moved the focus from Cloud City Operative to the Advisor.
I see. And Matt playing out the Blockade Runner. Speak of the Devil.
Yep.
And Gamorrean Guard's going to have his work cut out for him there.
Now, normally Matt and I would have reversed that, where he would hand me the Blockade Runner. But I only had 3 resources open, so I couldn't play it even if I wanted to. My deck at this point is the one that we usually attack with, and we try to, wear that opponent down and make it where they don't have too many blockers or too many edge cards. So it's just kind of it's interesting because when they attack alone, they can't be blocked, and at this point, I can't attack with it by itself. So we'll see. Jabba can't block it or the Sleuth, so that's a solid start.
Yeah, definitely. So maybe flipping the script here and putting the pressure on Scott instead? Could we see that?
It's definitely possible. He has the Y-Wing and the Blockade Runner. It's important to note that me blocking with the Rogue 3 earlier, super simple to block with that unit. You may as well. Really giving the edge advantage here because he had to play cards in that edge battle to win that edge battle. And now he's only got 2 in hand. Looks like they have 1 in common reserve. That can be the difference in the game. Making them use cards on their turn so that they don't have them when it's your turn to go.
Absolutely. Yeah. Forcing that offensive edge battle, certainly a lesson to be learned in all these formats, 2v2 and 1v1. That's a great lesson to learn, to thin out their hand so that you have an easier time whenever it's your turn to be on the offense. And a lot of times that's just really a tempo decision on the side of the offensive player is how best are they going to use the circumstances to get cards out of the opponent's hand so that they can come back around next turn and do okay. A lot to think about in this game, and I continuously come back to the fact that there's so much more going on than you initially think whenever you start playing, and it seems like just a fairly simple back and forth offense versus defense kind of game.
There's much more here.
Once the doors get blown off this thing, it is a whole world of what I feel like may be the most complex game. It's certainly LCG that Fantasy Flight offers.
It's up there.
Of course, that would be argued, but I would defend it passionately and well.
And well, regardless of winning or not. Looks like I'm going Sleuth Scout here against the leftmost Vader's Fist on the screen. Big decision here.
It's almost just a big gimme. Vader's Fist has got to be damaged. If you get this whole game, you and Matt at 4 or 5 cards to their 6, you just can't put yourself at that disadvantage.
Looks like we're blocking with the Gamorrean Guard.
Gamorrean is coming in.
This smells
like Heat of Battle.
Heat of Battle. They have the Protector for the Gamorrean Guard. He's got the black unit damage. They don't need to win. They just need to get 1 on the Sleuth. So this is actually a really strong play, assuming they have Heat of Battle. And if we have a Twist of Fate over on our side, I've got a feeling that the smell detectors are going wild.
Yeah, and the ultimate question, if you have the Twist, is it card 2 or card 1? That's something that must always be decided, and it's never an easy decision. And TVT really opening up a lot of incredible decisions when it comes to team deck building. What if you just build objective sets that have tons of Heat of Battle? Is that a Battle of Hoth there?
That is, and a Tromper. dumping an extra Rogue 3, something that's not going to come out as long as he's focused down. And it looks like we actually won the exchange there.
It's going to not kill the guard, but do a damage to him.
He's got 2 health, and he's got the protector just in case, so that's not going anywhere.
And he's still going to get his strike here, so 1 damage on.
They are teeing up the board for a Force Shockwave.
It does feel a little Force Shockwave, especially potent, knowing that you're not going to commit anything to the Force this entire game.
Not happening.
That card is going to be in play pretty much the whole time, so you guys are going to have to be very careful as to how you keep these units healthy.
And they are really, if you look at that middle Vader's Fist there on Tom's side, they are working that damage off the board with those Battle of Hoths.
I can't tell you how many times that has come back to bite me. Game-winning swing, and it's like, oh, this objective over here that you forgot about is actually -1 health, and home 1 doesn't kill it, and therefore...
That happened just the other day, right?
It did. It happens consistently. You've got them teed up for the nice home run, as we call it.
The old home
run. And then 1 comes off, and you lose the game.
That does happen.
Talking about swinging in with that operative, looks like.
I think we may end up saving that for defense.
What's the hand situation here? Tom... looks like has maybe 1 to 2 cards there next to the Emperor. I believe that's his hand.
Yeah, I think he has 1 card left in his hand.
Keeping it well away from the deck, as an experienced card player would know. That has been mixed up a few times in my life, and there's really no good way to solve that. Did I put them on top, or where did I put them? And the discussion, the council meets here.
That's true.
On the light side.
I don't think we can attack with the operative here. We're not really going to be able to lock down anything too important. We're not going to do too much. We could lose the edge battle and lose the unit, which is not something we want. Honestly, because of the positioning of Tom and Scott, Scott's going to have to attack first. Matt has quite a few more cards in his hand than I do, so borrowing the operative to block, I don't think that they'll even attack on that side, honestly.
I really want to see that job at Tactics Icon business going down here. I would love to see that.
He would probably love to see it too.
Rocking the board down.
I think at this point you just go Blockade Runner or something. Seems like the only play in my brain.
Yeah, I like Scott's board lending Tactics Icons down to help things out on Tom's turns.
It's like we're going Blockade Runner, block him with the Royal Guard, which again smells like a heat of battle. We'll see.
Consistently smells like a heat of battle around here. You notice that, and I see some
definitely
fake, some fake cards in there.
Yeah, fake cards. Yeah, it's one of those things where you kind of sometimes assume that your opponent has things, and a lot of times they don't. It's kind of hard to get that out of your head that if they have heat of battle here, it could be bad. They
can't always have the answer, even though you often think it.
Until they do.
Matt's passing. We'll see if Scott's going to play back in here.
Looks like he wants to pass, but is Tom going to convince him to drop another card? I smell a twist here. Matt Kohls is the king of Twist of Fate. What do we got?
We do have a heat versus a target of opportunity. And that's going to be good here. That's going to get that Blockade Runner out of there.
That is the business.
Very much in their favor. But, you know, again, look at what's going to happen whenever you guys come back around on the offense here. Really no cards in hand. Edge battles are yours to win. And Rogue 3 going to be around. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, they have Palpatine, so I got a feeling we're going to see a Palpatine attack. It's going to come down to an edge battle there. I've only got 2 cards in hand, nothing in common reserve. That Sith deck should be able to edge us out there.
Yeah, it absolutely will.
But we'll see. The problem is
they can't go too hard though, because they've got to win those edge battles on defense.
That's the fine balance, right? You need to win the edge battle on defense and have blockers. So not being able to save Palpatine for the block is just huge. Although when you see Sleuth Scouts and Blockade Runners, it's hard to save Palpatine.
Yeah, you just gotta take the sure thing. Really, sometimes is a better thing whenever your opponent has very little cards in hand.
Looks like the dial's up to 5.
Dial is up to 5.
11 clicks left on the dial.
Woo. Counting down from 6 in my head. got 5 clicks left until we're at a serious issue.
Dunzo.
Very interested to see what they play here. You know, starting to kind of overwhelm the board here. in my head.
I mean, last turn they each only had 3 resources open because they had the 2 resource objective. Each of them respectively had focus out twice on the first turn. So they bounced back pretty strong considering they had Palpatine and Jabba on the board going into a turn with 3 resources each. So they've opened up the resources, and this is kind of the turn. This is where they're either
It's the pleasure barge, yeah.
That's not bad. But this is, to me, this is where they either take the game or allow Matt and I to kind of stagnate them into a point where they can't really win. We'll see what happens.
So Kuwati looks like way down there. And what is it in your head? What is the worst case scenario here? What are you wanting to not see? What are you afraid of?
I would not want to see a Darth Vader.
That's a forward command post.
Unless they get some shields going on. We'll see what happens. Vader is not who I want to see here. Just being able to force choke units off the board, and force choke getting that Y-wing gone. He can just mess with things, but I don't think we're seeing Vader.
A Snowtrooper comes out with 2 open there on his executor, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
2 open and 1 open on his affiliation. He's got 3 open.
3 open.
Does that smell like anything to you?
Sith resource. That smells like a lot of things to me.
Sith lightning or shockwave in my brain. Can't see his hand. I see a 4-0 first, but that's not really doing anything here. That's defense.
That is defense. Feels good though, getting that guy out there. That he's very hard to punch through. Except by,
Unless you're
sleuths and blockade running.
Man, I hate this sleuth so bad. I hate him.
Man, when they first hit the scene, it was really just kind of a wake-up call for all of us. What is happening here?
Yeah, it was like, oh, Vader and Palpatine used to be so good. Now they're less good.
Pleasure Barge and Jabba coming in.
See, this is interesting to me. Matt's only got 1 edge card in his hand, so they probably think they can lock our board down here and then get a free swing with Palpatine. But
so we need contacts there. And Pleasure Barge has something cool involved in it. I forgot what it is. You remember that?
Basically, when it's not your turn, it's when your refresh starts. No, it's when your deployment starts. You can put a focus on it to remove a focus from a character unit.
There you go.
So it's kind of a weird version of Mahdi, but it's got 2 objective damage, so it's just a solid card in general.
And it's called a Pleasure Barge, so
why not? Looks like Matt's blocking my operative, which is, you may as well. Jabba's got 2 focus, so not too much to lose here.
Yeah. All right, so the edge battle begins. 1 card placed in there. And Matt dropping 1.
Yeah, and I saw it earlier. I believe he's dropping a Han Solo into this, which is 3 edge icons. We'll see. Ouch. Gets beat out by a Jabba and a Dark Memories.
Yeah, so that's 4 to the Force.
So we lose Han there, which is a big deal to drive that in. But it's a concept I've been so impressed with lately about this game, and it's really inherently knowing the value of cards and the fact you're going to get to draw 6 more and you're going to spend your resources on something. So pitching there is kind of one of those things where you're going to draw units that you want to play. Han's not necessarily the greatest unit here. He's got the protector for his characters, and Han dies pretty easily. So even though Han is super awesome and you want Han around, it's potentially worth dropping him there. Chance of winning the edge battle and shutting down Palpatine for this turn, and all for a card. You're gonna draw back up to 6 anyway. I don't know. I think that's the right call. Even losing the edge battle.
Yeah, that feels okay. And they're starting to spread the damage around here. I think this is the best chance at winning.
And they've got Palpatine again, which means they'll be able to focus this board straight.
Look at this. Everything is focused down, and you have 3 more icons coming through. 3 more icons. Tactics.
Choking the
operative. I think we're setting up for that thing that we thought was coming. Force Shockwave, huh?
Oh, you know what? They're playing the Force Choke because they're probably going to blow an objective up here with Palpatine.
Get it back
with Force Choke back.
Yeah.
2 to that. 1 on opposed. We're going to go with 1 here. 2 here. 1 there. Actually, what about him? Why don't we go 1, 1, 1?
I think we're seeing this deck work here. I think this is really... Whenever you think about, the deck building, the evening, that, figuring these out and how you're going to make a deck work, I think this is what Scott and Tom had in mind when they put this together, is this enemy field full of nothing.
That's something you don't see every day.
Over my dead body. What happened there?
They blew up the objective. Dial went to 6. They were triggering Palpatine to get force choke back, and they got denied.
Over my dead body.
Over
right?
my dead body. They will
really
not have that force choke back.
More like over Han's discarded body to me.
It's kind of the same as being
Am
dead
I
in
right?
this game.
Am I right?
So it's important to note the dial's now up to 6. They blew up an objective. Going to the next turn, it's going to be at 8, which is getting very dangerously close to them needing to have blown up 4 objectives by then.
Yeah, we need to see it here. 1 down. Looks like 1's teed up on Matt's end to go next turn if it needs to. Still going to need to find 2.
This is pretty... I mean, they're really asserting dominance in this game. Between Matt and I, we have 1 unit that's not focused right now.
Operative damage, health. Is that a refresh action on something? I believe it is, yeah. One of the things. It went away for some reason.
I do not know.
I have no idea. Did Matt damage his objective?
I think
to
he may have
remove
damaged
one?
questionable contact
Yeah.
just in case they had another force choke.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
Or if we blow up an objective, they get the force choke back. So, and it's really important here for us to play defense, like I said. It's okay for us to lose this game. It's okay for us to lose objectives. But we just need to slow them down enough to not be able to blow up enough objectives in time.
I would also like to see some offense out of you guys. I mean,
blowing up an objective here is huge. If we can get 1 objective here,
just nullify.
It really sets the pressure on them having to get it done next turn. But as we've seen, when the dial is in the 6 to 8 range, it is definitely possible to go the distance. Especially, I mean, we see Executor arrives here. They can play the Executor if they end up having it. He's got 6 resources, so he would need a Sith Holocron to be able to pull it off.
There's 3 resources still open. Wondering if that's unfortunate draws or if that's a planning maneuver there.
You know, it's one of those things. Shockwave is really good after deployment.
Yeah.
Let's say Matt drops a Y-Wing or even just whatever was dropped, being able to get 1 damage on everything. So if he has that, I wouldn't be surprised to see it after we've gone.
Yeah, and, you know, dropping that shockwave and then you guys destroy an objective, getting it back with the Emperor, that's
not what you want to see.
That's a cycling threat that you have to be really scared of.
Yeah, I mean, I've done that in 1v1, and it is just ugly.
It's just, you can't keep anything on the board.
Yeah.
So deployment here is going to be, and I wonder if you guys actually are going to take this into account, maybe choosing some hardier options. And that's, I feel like that's a really strength of this deck that they're running, this 2v2 deck. You know, if you put big guys out there, they get focused down. If you put small guys out there, they get force shockwaved. Really feeling like there's some good answers here to both styles of deck coming at them.
It's one thing to remember here, too, that I think Matt and I are really considering. We have Escape from Hoth, or Prepare for Evacuation.
Yeah.
Which Tom has 2 Vader's Fists out, both of which are Hoth objectives. So if we can destroy a Hoth objective, we can actually bounce a unit into their hand.
Amazing.
If we can destroy both of those, we can bounce 2 of their units, and that would slow them down immensely.
That objective has caused me great consideration when I'm trying to destroy objectives.
It can be a pain.
Yeah, I made that mistake once. Destroyed the Hoth, lost the unit that was going to win me the game, back to hand, so...
Yeah, it's crazy. When you get 2 of those out, it is just ridiculous, man. Even if you blow the one up now, you're going to have to bounce something, which is interesting. But, you know, if there's 2 out, you blow up 1, you bounce 2 units, that can just... In 1v1, that is devastating.
It's absolutely devastating.
At that point, you kind of just play the dark side game of, I'm going to get the dial to 12 without destroying an objective.
It's a favorite game of the dark side.
They at one point were really good at that game.
They were. And then the game sped up.
And then the game also had new tiebreaker rules.
Ah, yes. That happens. And honestly, I kind of like these tiebreaker rules. It really forces the dark side to be a little bit more well-rounded. And it really causes the light side to consider things a bit differently. Maybe having to play back a little bit kind of balances the offense and defense aspects of the game.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the way the dark side has to play now. Nice, another sleuth. They have to play offense in their decks. They have to be able to bring the pain.
You know, for someone who hates those sleuths so much, you seem to be playing a lot of them.
Well, I have a personal stance on the sleeves, and that's that I won't use them competitively. But I also, the night before this tournament, told Matt that he could build the decks, and I'd play whatever he built me. And so these are the decks he built, and he wanted me sitting in that seat using these decks, and there you have it.
Did you feel the power?
I did.
Were you corrupted?
They are so good. They are so good. They're not too good, but they are so good.
And you don't have Anarwood anymore, so
That's something.
not as good.
They're not as good. The deck I'm running here, the big thing is Attack Pattern Delta, which you have not seen yet.
Yeah.
And you run all the Rebel, objective sets with the speeders, and you have all these 2-cost or less vehicles that you can
Just pop
put
them
out.
in, huh?
And then it also includes the Sleuth Scout objectives and the protectors, the Prepare for Evacuation protector units. I think there's upwards of 20 plus units that you can hit on Attack Pattern Delta. So you're looking at about a 40-50% chance of hitting. It can be. We had games earlier in the day that were just
vomiting.
Their
units
first
out.
turn, put a unit out. Our turn, put a unit out. Their turn, put a unit out. It's just it's so hard to keep up with.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, holding a Y-Wing over there, and I think if that thing hits the table, we're going to truly get to see if Force Shockwave is sitting here in Tom's hand.
I think he may have defense. He have 4 out and is considering whether he should discard those or not. We'll see. Or maybe he's just going to play Y-Wing. He paid 3 for whatever.
Man, what's
is.
that yellow card? I can't. Is that a Bothan something or other?
Oh, nice. He's enhancing my Sleuth Scout.
Droid upgrade.
I'm taking out a sleeve. We mistakenly had the same sleeves on our decks, so we could tell whose card was whose.
Thanks.
I want to say...
I would have done it.
I don't know what that is.
We had rock and sock 'em.
I mean, I've seen that before. It's going to drive me crazy.
Is it not the Twilight?
Just the smuggler, Twi'lek smuggler?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking too.
In the middle. All right. Cards in hand. 2 plus 1.
Now, looks like Matt has 1 smuggler resource open. I've got 2 rebel and 1 smuggler.
This isn't that. Yeah, that's not what you want.
Well, to me...
I mean, it's not what they want. It's what you guys want.
Yeah, I mean, we may have Swindles there. We also may have, like, an Admiral Akbar.
Does these objective sets, any of them have the Rebel Assault?
Yes. The defense you have in 4 that you see over there that Matt's got is absolutely.
Yes,
got Rebel Assault.
absolutely. Could be sitting down there in the Common Reserve, huh?
They're blocking the Cloud City. Yeah, they're blocking with 2 units. That way we can't swindle away and focus down.
It's like they played this game before.
A couple times, maybe.
Because that swindled threat is coming from every angle here.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I had games throughout the day we did with these decks where you leave 1 open and you don't even have it.
Right.
But you're just the possibility that you have it, it's sort of like the possibility of them having heat of battle. It just makes you play differently, whether you're willing to block or not. Take the chance. Maybe you'll take the chance if you have twist. If they take the chance, maybe you think they have twist. It's the mind games here are just crazy.
I feel like this operative might die here.
It's possible. It's actually a pretty big edge battle. If we can win the edge battle, I can do a damage. Doesn't really matter.
Nice.
Ooh, Palpatine.
Palpatine on the old smugglers. Was that smugglers compartment down there?
Yeah, if we've been able to win the edge battle there, I can focus down like the Royal Guard, and then let them kill the Twi'lek, but focus down both their units. And then at this point, they'd only have the Gamorrean, but now they have the Gamorrean and the Royal Guard.
Everybody makes mistakes.
All right, so now we've got another offense coming in.
Yeah, and if we do have a swindle, this is just so painful for them because we'll see what happens. But you could bounce the Royal Guard that win the edge battle or not, you can kill the Gamorrean.
Can the Royal Guard protect your friends, guys?
Swindled.
Well, it can't anymore.
Yeah, they actually made a ruling on that where protect can work on all friendly units.
Oh no, it's a trap.
Nice. So we swindle the Royal Guard. We bring in Akbar to kill the Gamorrean, and now we're going to get unopposed, blowing up the objective, and 2 tactics icons. I can't help but think those are going to go on Palpatine. The Twi'lek over there, they have no more blockers left, is going to offer us another tactics icon to tactics another character down. And this is going to blow up a Hoth objective, so we'll get a bounce to the unit. So it'll be an interesting call between bouncing Palpatine and focusing him down.
Yeah, we're already seeing other Palpatine here in the discard pile out of that edge battle, so I think bouncing him is fair, but focusing him down
means you are not
good
seeing
too.
him. Yeah, if you bounce these,
We'll go ahead and do.
Clog up the hand with just those worthless units, the snow troopers.
yeah, and that's kind of the problem. Where you bounce the advisor over there, and he's going to lose out on a resource, and he's going to clog his hand. That doesn't really do objective damage, but
That works.
Yeah.
That's
definitely
the bane of my existence. It works. We'll put 2 on Jabba.
To focus on Jabba.
yeah, Jabba is going down.
Yep. So that gets destroyed. Yep. Just assuming here. Yeah.
Vader's fist gets destroyed. You do go ahead and bounce Palpatine, obviously since he wasn't focused.
He was focused.
Or I'm sorry, since you didn't choose to focus
Yeah,
him with
yeah.
Akbar. I think that was an obvious signal there.
I think part of that was also the fact that now they can't get an event out of their discard pile, because we did blow up an objective there.
Smart choice.
And we would actually be okay if he spent all his resources playing Palpatine again,
Yeah.
because that means he's only going to have Palpatine out on his side that's going to do objective damage.
And Advisor gets focused there from the Twi'lek, so
And the dial's up to 8, so they're going to this turn with a Kuati security team and a snowtrooper, unfocused.
but let it be known that you guys are completely out, completely down.
We
so
are.
I think this is the board to Hail Mary it. I mean, we had a Hail Mary on one end. We could certainly see one on the other.
Yeah, I remember.
There's that Force Shockwave that Scott just drew into.
Oh man, I see a Spice Vision. That's going to be big. When a unit would basically have a focus placed on it, you can instead give it a damage. So you could attack with Palpatine on one of these objectives, use that, so he's going to get a strike twice. It'll be unopposed,
Wow.
so it blows up an objective, and they'll get to lay 6 focus down if that's the course they choose. And I'd be
Wow.
surprised if they didn't. Spice Visions is a huge card. I know when the Deluxe came out, immediately people were talking about Spice Visions with Palpatine and the fact that he takes a damage and just unloads on an opponent.
Yeah.
Again, dials at 8 here. We're not going to be taking balance anytime soon. Their next turn, it's going to be at 10. So they kind of have to get it mostly done here.
Yeah, I gotta go. I don't think Scott's gonna have an issue up top. He's at least got one down there, but everything else looking really healthy here.
Yeah, I mean, the Kuati security team can blow up questionable contacts. Assuming Palpatine gets Spice Visioned, he can blow up another objective. That's 2, which puts their total at 4, which is, we just scored an objective, so they'd be 1 behind us at that point.
Advisor the Emperor comes out on Scott's board. And staring at that Force Shockwave.
And I'm telling you, that Spy Vision is going to be so huge here because, ooh, Shockwave, there it is.
You're in Shockwave. Now, that isn't a play on your turn only, is it?
No.
So I'm quite surprised not waiting for deployment. You think there's any reason for that?
It's not going to go into Tom's discard pile. So I don't think they're going to be able to get it back with Palpatine. Unless Palpatine is being controlled by Scott when an objective blows up.
I think that may be what we see here.
So they are potentially trying to get it back. Whether they'll be able to play it or not, I'm not sure. So we will see. It looks like they're going to put a Dark Memories on Akbar, essentially nuking him.
He's out, yeah.
Won't be able to strike again thanks to that Shockwave.
Oh, okay.
Sith Library coming out. A little late, of course, but
That actually does.
sometimes you want it.
Yeah, you almost just... I see an aggression here, too. They've got cards for days. Aggression would be insane if they were able to get the Executor out, but looks like they're playing Palpatine again. And we'll see what they do here.
Not quite enough objective damage there to get it done.
Man, you see him eyeing that Spice Visions?
Yeah.
They can get 2 objectives here, which is going to bring the total up to 4. We're at 5. The problem there, again, though, they're going to be able to lock down our board, for sure. But if Matt and I can draw into cards to blow up another objective, we'll be in a really good spot.
With Palpatine striking for 6 potentially tactics icons, I really would have liked to hold that for Shockwave and wait and see, because that board wasn't threatening whatsoever. Everyone was down, nothing could oppose.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they're going to attack one of Matt's objective with Palpatine, Spice Visions, and then get that Shockwave back. But they can't play it, so it doesn't really help.
Yeah.
So, Cylinder Fire. Can I refresh that?
Kawadi security team looks like blows up that middle objective and then goes to the discard pile. You know what that was about?
I do not.
Visions when he strikes.
I'm sure there was something.
Looks
I
like
just
they are
missed.
Spice Visioning Palpatine here, so they are going to.
It'll do. What was that? You can kill him if you. Oh yeah. I forgot.
You can kill him with the Dark Memories tactics. So Palpatine here
that
becomes
can't be
a
worth it, right? I mean, Matt
bummer.
might get a questionable context and be able to remove a damage from Akbar, making him strike
We're gonna
again.
go.
But
That makes sense.
that just lets me play him again if I have a second one. Right?
yeah. I don't like killing Akbar here, but it's very tempting.
I would just focus that sleuth and that rogue.
We'll go 3 on each. 3 on these.
Yeah, 3 on each of the 2 vehicles there.
Yeah. I'll react and take it. I'll react, take the choke.
And taking the choke back.
That is a better move.
Yeah.
Choke him.
He's gonna kill Akbar.
Yeah, interesting play there.
Which I think I like waiting so that you can at least, surprise him next turn until you kill him with Dark Memories, wasting an attack.
Yeah, I mean, the potential benefit there is, if we're able to blow up an objective, they'll get that back and be able to use it on their turn because it's once per turn.
Yeah.
So that could come in handy potentially. I don't know. I think I still would have preferred to hold the Shockwave, keep the choke in hand, and wait and see what happens.
Let it be known that Palpatine also destroying an objective here, so
They have destroyed 3 total this game, putting their total at 4. Matt and I have only destroyed 1 at this point. Another Hoth operations. That means all mine are Hoth. That's a good thing.
it's good for prepare, yeah.
So right now, Matt and I are 1 objective ahead, and we have 0 units on the board that are not focused down. 0.
Wade's coming into the stretch here. I think they've given themselves a chance.
Absolutely. It looks like the dial would have gone to 9 and 11 at this point. So it's going to go up to 13. Next turn will probably be their last shot.
This game just feels so flipped. It's really fascinating to watch.
To watch the light side play defense is
Yeah.
funny. Yeah, and scoring an objective here would be huge for Matt and I. It would just looks like Council of Sith over there has 2 damage on it. It may be the objective we try to go after here. I'm not sure. Those Hoth objectives are so interesting to go after thanks to Battle of Hoth. It can be a pain.
Yeah, it can be a lot harder than it looks. Council of the Sith does look primed.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to hold out and wait and see what that 4 Shockwave would have looked like after this deployment phase, because that could have been a more significant thing. Whenever you have Y-Wings in play, you have that line available.
Absolutely. And the interesting part here too is if Matt and I are able to destroy an objective, then the only way they could possibly tie us in objectives is if Scott destroyed 2 of Matt's objectives. Because the dial is at, what are we at now?
I thought
11?
like 11, right?
11. So if one of on their turn it's going to go up 13. If one of my objectives gets destroyed, it'll bounce it to 16.
Yeah.
And we would win the match. Matt's only had 1 objective destroyed so far, so they could technically blow 1 up, get to 15, blow a second one up, and get to 18.
They just have to not lose an objective here. That's going to be the key, right?
Yeah.
And certainly done a good job at essentially resetting this game for you guys. So you're going to have to deploy everything here and have enough out to kill 1 objective somewhere. And in 2v2, actually not the hardest thing, especially with Advisor, the only thing available to block over there. Could pass the Snowtrooper up, but then potentially leaving himself open down at the bottom of the screen. So it's going to be hard to fill the holes here.
Absolutely. We'll see what happens. I mean, a Cloud City operative here could be instrumental in getting a focus onto that Advisor so that we have an easier time getting through. But there are just so many cards. We each have 6. That's 12 cards to choose from between us to figure out how to get that much objective damage on the board. I mean, we may even go for the Hail Mary and go for 2 objectives here, which for them to tie,
Yeah,
they
just
would have
seal it
to.
up.
Yeah.
Wondering if we'll see a card in the future on the dark side that is, 4 cost, lower the Death Star dial by 4.
Buying more time.
Yeah, just bide your time or something.
That's what I've been experimenting with the decoy at Dantooine objective set a lot lately, and it reads when an objective leaves play, you lower the Death Star dial by 1, and the first time I played that in a game where I had 1 is the dark side, and then it dawned on me, if they could just destroy my other objectives, and each one is -1 for the Death Star dial, so it made it possible for them to blow up a ton of objectives.
Yeah, more than you wanted.
Yeah, way more than I wanted. So, fortunately, I actually walked away from that with a win, but it has terrified me of that objective ever since.
And now getting some clarification here on a ruling. I know that you just asked who played the Force Shockwave. And potentially asking for Palpatine's retrieval ability. Maybe that's what Matt's asking about, but he also took a card with him, a reserve card with him. So.
Yeah, and it's funny some of the things you can do in these games. Asking who played what, or looking at opponent's discard pile, that can just make your opponents think you're up to something. I don't know why we were asking there, but I'm sure we had a good reason. But it's funny the mental games you can play with an opponent. Looks like we're waiting on a ruling here, or chatting, shooting the breeze.
The game, the 2v2 format seems a lot more open to that kind of thing, as we talked about in the last game. It's
really cool, man.
Fantastic to see.
It's just, it is really cool. It takes the edge off of things for sure.
It does. And even losing with your friend is not that bad.
It's not as bad as losing by yourself.
Yeah.
You feel like it's a personal thing when you lost by yourself.
Looks like Judge has arrived. And they still have a decent bit of cards here at their disposal.
Yeah, that's why the importance of a Rebel Assault or a Swindle at the right time. If they only block with one unit, or forcing them to block with both because we could possibly Swindle. There's a lot of interesting difficulties that present themselves when you're the dark side and you've only got 1 or 2 units.
I think Swindled is the interesting difficulty here. Every time.
It's a good card.
Every time.
It's one of those yellow cards that comes with a bunch of other really good yellow cards. I also think Cloud City Operative is just massive.
Looks like you've got the Y-Wing Protector in hand there.
That would be a great play here. It's got objective damage. It also has Protect. So, in case we do play a Y-Wing, we can. And maybe that's why they Shockwave, by the way. They know we're running the Protector vehicles. If we drop one of those in, you can't just Shockwave the Y-Wing anymore.
Now, I saw Matt discard a card at reserve there to place a new one in. Is that something that's available at all times? I think you just asked about a ruling there, and a rule being that you can replace something in the reserve?
Yeah, the interesting thing about the reserve is it counts as though it's in your hand. So when you're drawing back up to 6, it counts as one of your cards. But it's only after you've drawn back up that you can decide to replace the card.
I see it.
So you would actually be down a card that turn instead of drawing back up after the fact that's gotten rid of. So he may have been asking on that when exactly he can get rid of that card, but we'll see. Now I see Defense having 4 over on Matt's side now. I don't think he actually had it earlier. Looks like he has the Rebel fleet up top, is that objective. But that could be instrumental in this game, the fact that that's the objective he flipped and able to reduce vehicles here and kind of get whatever he wants on the board.
Yeah, get it out and get it striking.
I mean, like a home 1 here is a pretty solid play. It's not going to do, the extra damage isn't going to do much, but just the 3 health is big.
3 health, 2 objective.
I think I just heard myself say there's no way, so we'll see what we cooked up here.
Let's see if there truly is no way. You got a lot of speeders in hand there.
I do, and it's important to note 2 Hoth operations there, so each speeder's going to have edge 2.
Huh?
That could be
That's going to preserve the hand, and I tell you, edge on these cards is really critical for these Rebel decks, these vehicle decks, so you don't have to pitch so many of your cards that really aren't doing much in the edge battle just to try to win one every now and again.
Now here's one of the situations, I mean, imagine if Scott has Shockwave.
Look at Shockwave right here. I think that could potentially be, something to look at when we're discussing this game and looking at,
that could have cost them the game.
This championship, that may have been a stronger play.
Even if right now you drop Shockwave.
Just now, yeah.
Just in fear of me having passed Matt a Protector vehicle. It's just so huge. I mean, I probably wouldn't have played those units. Had we not, if they have 3 Sith resources, if there are other options in my hand, but I don't know if there are other.
You don't know if there are, and that's the thing, you know. When you're running a deck full of these 2-cost guys, 1 health is not a rare commodity in your deck.
Now it's also something.
Hey,
here.
look, there's a
that
Y-wing.
Man, that's crazy. A Shockwave here would be boss.
And that's all Matt's playing. That looks like Matt set the cards down. I think that's all that he's playing here.
So you notice he has a ton of resources open, which could be Rebel Assault, it could be Swindle, it could be Akbar. There's any number of cards here that could just be on point. And you know, if it's possible, if I can attack the Vader's Fist and somehow blow it up, I would get to bounce 1 unit, which could be huge in preventing them from winning. So we'll see what happens here.
Is it safe to say if you get 1 objective here that the game is over?
No, but it's at best a draw for them, for Scott and Tom. If we get 1 objective, that puts us 2 ahead.
You guys ready?
And it's possible for Scott, if he can blow up 2 of Matt's objectives, for them to be able to tie the match. Looks like we're going to
Both
Vader's
snow
Fist here.
speeders of the injured Vader's Fist.
Worth noting here, Battle of Hoth works 2 ways.
It does. Can also damage an objective. And we already know there's another Spice Visions there in Scott's hand. Now, Advisor's a 1 health unit or 2 health unit? I always forget that. I think it's 2, so he could potentially Spice Visions the Advisor and get 2 tactics here, yeah?
It's the truth.
And that Y-wing becomes nothing if that's the case.
Is it a 2?
It's
a 1. It's a 1.
I don't know.
Han can shoot that thing.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah, I mean, Edge 4 here is so mean.
Edge 4 is nuts. And I wonder if...
You know what I'm smelling now? I don't remember here. But we score 2 damage unopposed. It's 1 damage away from being gone. That's a Rebel Assault of a dream. And you save the Rebel Assault till like after the refresh. So they're down a resource. Or even once they get going so that we can just bounce 1 of their units in mid-combat. Like that would be just devastating. We'll see what happens. Backing up. Oh, nope. Keeping the card.
All right, with Edge 4, man, this becomes...
It's crazy.
Amazing.
It's so
Looks
good.
like you got a Sleuth in hand, too, there, so... And the Protector vehicle, so maybe you play differently if you see the 3 resources.
I think if you see the free resources, I play the Protector and the Sleuth. Lets me protect his Y-Wing once he plays it. Also gives me a Sleuth. We have a lot of damage potential there. But the Speeder Edge is big here.
Oh, it's so big.
So big. So probably if they're open, you play 1 Speeder and the Protector.
I mean, Edge 1 is one thing, but Edge 2 seems exponentially better. I mean, it's not just 1 more, it's just,
Yeah.
That's where most of those Edge cards lie, in the 2 Force Bubble range. A lot of the reasonable cards are right there, and it just nullifies them. And still pitching 3 cards to the Edge battle here.
And Matt and I here, looks like they have 4, and we had 4 as well. Gonna do target of opportunity.
That'll get it,
That's gonna be just enough to get it.
1 there, 1 there.
Man.
1 there. Kill that.
Gotta bounce that Advisor, right?
There's the unopposed,
on the council down there.
This could be the second objective, and I feel like this could be the game, huh?
Yeah. I don't know what Matt's got in his hand as far as why those resources are still open.
Ooh.
What?
Doesn't bounce the Advisor.
Where is that objective?
Is there a Swindled in hand or something? Matt's saying...
That's probably what happened.
Matt's saying, no worries, I've got it.
Looks like we're... See what happens. Oh,
Akbar
snack
comes
bar.
in, yeah.
Yeah, so instead of bouncing, now it's killed. We get 2 focus. That means Palpatine and Jabba are going to be focused completely down.
Yeah, and if there's 2 objectives here, that's the game.
Palpatine twice. 1 second.
Something Matt said earlier almost makes me wonder if they didn't destroy a second objective in that first game. Just because he said it was
6
blow
to
this up,
5,
I think
right?
there will be 2 objectives ahead, which means they could still possibly tie it. but they are focused.
Scott just said they need 2 objectives to tie it.
It's all you guys.
So it looks like they must have
And I
destroyed 2
believe
in that first
Dial
game.
is at 13.
Yeah, the only way is for Scott to destroy 2 objectives here, and they have 0 units on focused on the board.
They have to destroy 2.
And that's a great feeling when you know the worst you can do here is a tie if they pull it out.
Yeah.
Oh,
Killing cold.
man, if Executor came around, he could
This could be a boss.
he
Yeah.
could do some work. Problem, though, is that Tom just doesn't have units out.
And I'm going to take a peek at the hand here. Is it possible?
Matt and I went all out here. We're leaving the table wide open.
Yeah.
So-
I mean, going all out for a worst-case scenario tie, I think, is a fair play. I think you take what's in front of you, make it really hard on Scott and Tom. If they happen to do it, then sure, go to a game 3, but chances are they can't do this.
Absolutely. And, yeah, well, looks like Tom's drawing up here, and we'll see if they've got the possibility of doing it.
And they're looking for objective damage, maybe an Executor. Kind of just taking a look at what's possible. And there's the scoop.
I've been waiting for the cron for like
Scott and Tom saying we just can't quite get it there. But man, what a great group of champions here. Huge congrats to Scott Egan and Tom Philippi. Unreal. And also congrats, of course, to you, Zach, and to Matt Kohls, if you're listening. Fantastic games. And I think this is a wonderful first match to have for 2v2, recorded and up here. Makes me want to play this format so much.
Yeah, it's really awesome to see, and it was really a privilege to be in the first 2v2 event. I think there was something in the range of 48 players playing, so it was a really good turnout for a kind of unannounced event until late. But it was a blast. I love this format. Can't wait to see where Balance of the Force takes it, where the future objectives take it, and I'm really just excited about the entire future of this game.
So man, exciting times. That was just phenomenal. I really enjoyed that. I gotta say, just watching a lot of games as we do, this was one of the greatest things to watch, and it speaks well to the format. Huge congrats again to Scott and Tom, and to our champions Zach Bunn and Matt Kohls. Worlds next year should be interesting, defending the title there. And thank you again, always, to Fantasy Flight Games for letting us get some cameras on here and get these games out here and really just explore these 2v2 format and see what it's all about, because it's a fascinating thing. And of course, to all you guys out there listening and watching, thank you so much for your continued support. And we'll keep doing what we're doing if you guys keep doing what you're doing. Watch, subscribe, buy some Force Packs, do whatever your heart tells you. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll catch you on the next round of Star Wars, whether that's 1v1 or 2v2 or 3v1.
It is a
coming down
thing.
the pipe. So thanks a lot. We'll catch you next time.